Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Village of Bartlett Committee of the Whole meeting for April 19, 2022. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to again please call the roll.
Trustee Daney? Here. Gansey?
Here.
Gunstein?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Ranky?
Present.
Sawansky?
Here.
President Wallace.
Here. The item we have this evening is under Building and Zoning. Chairman Hopkins.
Thank you, President Wallace. We have one item under Building and Zoning tonight, and that's the proposed text amendment for the massage establishment massage ordinance approach. The Zoning Board of Appeals reviewed the proposed text amendment and conducted the required public hearing at their meeting on March 3rd, 2022. The Zoning Board stated that they did not believe that moving this establishment to the office and/or planned development district would resolve any issues. And in fact, because these uses would be more remote in their location, it would increase the potential for crime activities to occur. In addition, the Zoning Board believed that these text amendments would hurt legitimate businesses currently operating in the village, and that enforcement should be increased. A motion to pass a positive recommendation onto the village board failed by a 0-6 vote. As a result of these discussions that took place at the zoning board meeting, staff suggests further review to the amendments be made to the license requirements for the establishments and a step-up enforcement as possible alternatives to the zoning text amendments. Licensings and enforcement changes would then be brought back to a committee meeting at a further date. Does anyone in the committee have any questions?
No. I would just make a comment that I think that, in my opinion, we maybe didn't get this right. I was in agreement with kind of falling on our sword here and starting over. But that being said, this has been an issue since even before I was in this office. This has been an issue for a really long time, and I will take some blame on the swing and the miss here, because I think we all were trying to get to a situation where we didn't have a reputation as a village that would permit those type of activities happening in the village. But that's no discount to the legitimate massage and places that are running a very lucrative business. So I think it's right to have staff go back to the drawing board, scrap most of what we had, and try to figure out a better solution to the problem that's at hand. That would take up way less of our police department's time.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I also would agree. My position is I still think that this should be sent back and looked at as a special use, so if that's something that we can look at, I think that would be, for me, I think that's the best alternative to what we're trying to accomplish here.
Okay.
What would be wrong with inviting, I heard this evening that there's other parties that are available that would work with staff for free. What would be wrong with contacting them and, ask Austin who to contact?
I believe we have that contact
Sorry?
information. I believe we have the contact information that Austin was referring to, and we'll be happy to reach out.
Right.
Yeah. And we have done that once before. When this came up 4 years ago or 3 years ago or how long ago it was, Mr. Hopkins had really helped in that situation, along with another resident of Bartlett, trying to draft some additional text that would try to legitimize some of the issues that we were having. But yeah, I think that's a great idea.
All right, any other comments?
Roberta, could you maybe give us a little more information about what a special use would entail?
So a special use is actually a permitted use with additional review or conditions placed upon it. It's just another layer and a step that gives this board and the new Planning and Zoning Commission a chance to review it and ask any additional questions, maybe put time limits. It's just a more thorough review of an application.
And it's a public hearing,
It is a public hearing, yes.
and therefore a lot more details would come out on the type of establishment, the type of business, whether it's a chain or an independent type of business.
Absolutely, yes. And staff has been discussing with our village attorney too, ways in which we can so-called beef up the licensing requirements. We've talked about adding conditions of, no residency at these locations. And we're going to have a very formal code compliance as far as code enforcement is concerned. We're already processing, developing checklists for both inside and outside, constant and weekly inspections.
Roberta, let's get this done before you retire.
I was going to second it by saying it's time, we can't just kick it down.
We've already started, so it's good. It's good.
Take it with you.
When we brought what I'll call the downzoning ordinance that we just talked about, we also brought changes to the regulations, in part because the state was making changes as to whether they were going to license Asian Bodyworks practitioners. But there was also discussion, and you've not seen it, but I've been working on drafts, to try to put some more onus on landlords of these strip centers. So what we've had were certain instances where there was an arrest and then the business is sold to someone else before the process is completed. And that's the kind of thing we want to avoid. We want the owners or landlords not just assigning these leases to some new business. We had an incident where, the business was sold, we didn't know about it, they didn't get a license. So we want to deal with those kind of issues. And and that was part of the public comment. It's a good regulation. I believed it wasn't effective enough, and it's been an ongoing problem. But with enforcement and some more than tweaks, but amendments to it, and deal with some of the changes in the state law, that'll be another step in the right direction.
I think landlords need to take a hard look at who they're renting to and understand if they are renting to somebody like that in Bartlett, there's repercussions.
Yeah.
And those repercussions need to fall onto them, because it's a problem that can escalate.
Any other comments?
Yeah, well, that's a tough line to walk because of the fact if you rent your business and you can't be there 24/7 to monitor it, because we have violations now that with the enforcement, we can't keep up with it, our police department. So I think that we have to be a little careful with the owner of the business, the property. So
Good.
anyway, we'll talk about that later.
We'll send this back to staff. That's all we have under building and zoning tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Hopkins. Next, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss pending probable imminent litigation pursuant to Section 2C11 of the Open Meetings Act.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Ranky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins? Ranky? Swansky?
Yes.
We are adjourned to executive session.
Goodbye.